Hello again, I'm Lynn Hardison with Rewood Designs, and we're going to be doing what will be the first video of a series of videos for wood projects. I have other videos that are posted on how to maintain a butcher block, and really want to do a video on an actual wood project. So the first one that we've chosen are slab tabletops, and what I have here is a water oak cross-sectional cut of a tree that I received from a guy that does firewood sales. He had cut this up for somebody else years ago. They had a little trouble getting it stabilized, so they brought it to me, and this is what we're working on. As you can see, it's a very big piece. It's got lots of intricate cuts in and out of it. That's the natural live edge of the tree, and to me that's what really makes the piece beautiful. You'll see in here that these darker spots is where we've got some epoxy going on. The original guy that was working on this tried to seal these cracks in using epoxy, and he did not have good success with that, and I'll tell you why. Wood was a live, living, breathing organism before you cut it down, and after you cut it down and you try to make something out of it, it still continues to move and expand and contract with the humidity and the temperature, and these cracks will naturally form on their own. And the only way to really get a piece like this and make a piece of furniture out of it is you have to control those cracks and still allow the piece to move as it's normally going to do, but not fall apart completely. The use of this epoxy here does a good job of filling the crack in, but it doesn't hold the crack from further expanding. So how we're going to do that is, if you'll see, you notice here, these are keys. It's a bow tie key, or an hourglass, or just a key, however you want to refer to it. You install this into your slab across the crack, and this wedge shape, it's shaped like an hourglass or like a bow tie, keeps the crack from expanding any further and locks it into place. I've already put a few of them in there. Here's the next one that we're going to be installing, and like I said, it's just an hourglass shape or like a bow tie, thick little piece of wood. You take your chisel and you carve out the perfect shape down to your slab, drive it into place with a hammer, maybe put a little glue on it, cut it off with a flush trim saw, and then sand it down. You want to do that on any of your substantial cracks. I've already put 3 into this piece, and I'm going to have to put 3 more to control the cracking on it. It's a great way to do it. If you select nice coloring and nice grain patterns to go along with the piece that you're actually using, you can get it to really incorporate into and be a part of the piece, so that you still have form and function, and that's what we're going for. So we're going to be installing this one into this little crack over here and show you how it's done. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start. We've got our key here. You want to come to somewhere near the outer edge of the crack. You don't want to start back here towards the center. You want to be out towards the point where it's really going to start to widen out. But you don't want to be all the way at the edge of the piece. So we're going to pick our spot here. And I would really like to be about this close to the edge, but I've got some beautiful markings right in here that's what you would call spalding. It's come from natural fungus that gets into the tree, and I don't want to get rid of that. That's really going to be a beautiful part of this piece when I'm done. So I'm going to come in a little bit further and go right beside it. One of the first things that you want to do is mark the orientation of your key. I'll mark a corner here, and I'll mark a little part right here, right on the work, so that I know it always goes back in this orientation. Now we're going to mark the piece out. Hold it nice and firm, you don't want to move. This will give you your outline of the piece. Now to be doing this type of work, it's very tedious and very exact. It takes a very sharp chisel. And it takes practice. If you're going to be trying to do one of these, I recommend you practice on a extra piece of wood that you have laying around before you begin working on an actual piece of furniture. And like I said, the orientation is very important, as even though this is a symmetrical shape, it's not perfect. This was cut out by hand, so one side might be a little wider than the other. The lines may not quite be symmetrical with one another, so you want to be able to mark and indicate which side is the bottom and which side goes towards this corner here, and that's what we've done. Now that we've got our outline, you want to start with a very sharp chisel and not directly on your line. You want to come in just a little bit and give yourself a nice guide edge so that you don't have any chip outs. And continue that all the way around the piece. Like I said, this is a very slow, very tedious process. You only get one shot at it, and if you mess it up, the key will not fit in perfectly. And there's one way to fix that if you do mess up, and that's to cut a new key to fit the hole you've made. But then you're starting another very tedious process of getting something to fit perfectly into the hole that you've already made. So I recommend taking your time. These generally take me about an hour to do each one. And this piece is going to take 6 of them. So that's 6 hours of work just to install these keys to stabilize the cracks. And again, you don't want to be right on the line. You want to be just inside of it, so that you can test fit your piece and then make your hole a little bigger if you need. Don't cut all the way to your lines. If you cut this all the way to your lines before you ever test it, it's probably not going to fit, and then you're going to have problems. So cut your piece out, dry fit your key, and make your hole a little bigger as you go. Okay, so here we have a finished one that I was working on last night, and it's been cut back nice and flush. Here's one that I just traced out, and we've drilled 2 holes down here with a Forstner bit to open it up and give us some space to start chiseling it out. And here's one that I've been working on. Shadows in the way. As you can see, we've got a nice tight fit in here. A little bit of epoxy chipped out of the crack when we were working on it, but that's okay. You want a nice tight fit in there. And if I can get it out, there's your hole. So we're going to clean out the trash here in the bottom. It doesn't have to be perfectly clean, but you want it somewhat flat in there, enough so that you can get that all the way down. We'll put a little bit of glue on it, hammer it down, and then cut it off with a saw, and it'll look like that when we're done. Thanks for watching.